Hello and welcome to episode 50 of the Dynamo Football Book Club. My name's Alistair Bond and I'm joined by my co-host, a man I have so much time and respect for that it's untrue. I respect him more than any other man. He is class, quality and extremely loyal. He is a good man and a wonderful podcaster. My co-host, Johnny Coughlin. Johnny, how you doing?
I'm doing great now, Al. Thank you very much. Maybe we can have a little introduction like that more regularly. It was wonderful.
I meant those words, Johnny, but those words were plagiarized from the book we're doing this week, Johnny. The book we're doing this week is Denis Wise. What's it called?
Yeah, I don't even know what it is called.
It doesn't matter. Don't read it. But
What's a Super Bowl? Denis Wise is onto it. Denis Wise, equaliser. What a moment! What a moment for the little skipper! What a finish!
It's a Denis Wise autobiography, and those are the words from Denis Wise to Terry Venable. Terry.
Yeah.
Oh, Sherry. Oh, Terry, you lovely, lovely man. Anyway, yeah, so this week we are doing the Denis Wise book, and I will tell you what it's called. It's called Denis Wise, the autobiography. What a waste of time. Lovely stuff. Yeah, so for episode 50, we thought we'd choose a particularly heinous character, but instead we got a particularly heinous book, didn't we? Which is a shame. With none of his heinous behaviour in it. Okay, let's get on to it. Okay, Johnny, before we read this book, what did you think of Denis Wise?
Denis Wise was playing football when I was a teenager, so I was aware of him. But did I know a whole pile about him beyond the kind of headline stuff? And I suppose I had a view of him that he was kind of a scumbag, small and a scumbag. But the reason we wanted to pick him for this episode, given that it's the 50th episode, is we wanted to pick one of the characters who's come up in a lot of the other books. And they were Steve McMahon, but for whatever reason, that was hard to get his book, Glenn Hoddle, and I don't know why we didn't go for Hoddle, and Wise. And these are three of the kind of like great pantomime villains of these books of a particular, English football books of a particular vintage. So my view is very much coloured by the books, and he's very much a character that very few people have anything nice to say about Al. But in terms of how he played on the pitch, famously he would help people up and pinch below their arm and stuff like that in their armpit because he was a scumbag, but also for his turn with Newcastle under Ashley.
I tell you what, Johnny, it was the old pinchy thing when you're helping somebody up. That's what always stuck in my mind. I think Paul Scholes told that story, but I don't know if that's true. But yeah, when he'd lean over he'd go through you in a tackle, rake his studs down the back of your leg, and then you were lying on the floor. He'd put his hand out to help you up, but he'd grab your top of your arm and give you I call it a camel bite. What do you call it?
A pinch on the top of your arm.
Okay. So he just pinch and twist, as he helped you up, he'd pinch and twist your skin. So in fact, it looked like he was being pleasant, but in fact, he was being a right arsehole.
Yeah.
So that always stuck with me, and that seemed to encapsulate Denis Wise in a way, like just an undercover scumbag.
Yeah, and in his book, here's a man who thinks he's got a lot of honour, I think. He talks a lot about what's acceptable behaviour on the field, because he talks about, I would always try and win the ball, and if we're losing 4-1 or if we're winning 4-1, I will always try and win the ball. There's a lot about honour and, what it is to be kind of, I guess, a warrior and the warrior's code, this kind of stuff. But yeah, I think he might just be a bit of a scumbag. But can I ask you a couple of questions, Hello?
Yes, please.
If I told you 3 years ago that you would read Denis Wise's autobiography in the future, what would you have said?
Yeah, I might have been quite surprised. Especially an autobiography as bad as this one is. This basically takes him up to... I don't think he's even 30 by the end of this book. So he's basically just the first part of his career.
Yeah.
Where, aside from one FA Cup final, nothing interesting happens at all. I mean, this is the thing with Denis Wise. From reading this book, I don't actually hate him as much as I used to, but I do think he's a lot worse footballer than what I thought he was. I thought he was really good, but I don't think he is at all, right? I know. If someone had asked me how many England caps Denis Wise had got, I probably would guess about 40, 30, 40, but it's 12 because he was pretty lame.
If you told me that 3 years ago, I couldn't have conceived of any situation other than maybe being in prison. It was the only thing available to read. I couldn't conceive of a situation where I would have read this book from start to finish.
Have you been in prison, Johnny? It's the loneliest place in the world. It's the loneliest place in the whole world to be in prison.
Did you ever have a nickname?
Yeah, Ox was my nickname as a child. I tried to engineer a nickname, Magic, but it didn't work. It didn't stick, but I still have it on the back of my football shirts. But yeah, Ox was the nickname. Ox. There was a particularly debauched evening where a few of us all got a nickname. I have a friend, Fisher, and he was like, "You look like a turtle and you look like an ox." And we were all falling about laughing, and like turtle and ox really did stick. Did you have a nickname, Johnny?
Not really. People tried at different times. Someone tried to call me Jarvis once, saying that I looked like Jarvis Cocker, which is a funny nickname. Someone called me Crow. All kind of visual-based nicknames.
Oh, I wish that had stuck. Here comes the crow. There's Brandon Lee.
A lot of people call me Johnny, I suppose, which is a nickname because I don't introduce myself as Johnny. A lot of people do call me that. So there you go.
Jarvis, I can see actually, because you're quite a lanky streak of piss. In England, that would be like a compliment, but I can imagine in Ireland, Jarvis Cocker would be seen as the most disgusting dandy. We know what Irish people are like when people wear like fancy clothes.
Yeah, I think people like Jarvis Cocker. Do you want to tell me what Denis Wise's nickname? Like, this is something that he talks about in the book. He doesn't defend it, but this is his nickname.
What is it?
The Rat.
Oh, Ratso.
Ratsky and The Rat, given to him by Bobby Gould. Yeah, I'll happily go by The Rat.
I mean, but sometimes you just have to put your hands up and say, fair enough. You got me. I am like a fucking rat. And he is like a rat, isn't he? Just like a little bitey little rat, tiny and gross. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be introduced as the rat, and I wouldn't want to be introduced as the ox, really.
Yeah, the biting. Is Denis Wise the English Suarez?
Suarez before Suarez. I wonder how many nibbles he got in before, like TV cameras. I bet he was biting away all the time. I bet there's like hundreds of footballers all across the country who could like testify they've been bitten by Denis Wise. I'm sure he was biting. Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's two biting incidents in his own book.
Yeah, I tell you what, the Luis Suarez, like, they really have got the same energy, haven't they? They've got a very similar energy now you say it. I mean, obviously, Luis Suarez is way better at football, but like, yeah, they do have a similar energy. It's one of those, though, if he's on your side, you'll absolutely love the fucker. Yeah, I mean, he is one of those in the trenches. You'd want old Ratso in the trenches with you, wouldn't you? Like, he'd be there taking a bullet.
Do Chelsea fans love Denis Wise?
I believe so, Johnny. Yes, I would say so, because he was like he was there at the turn, right? He joined a pretty average Chelsea team by his own recollection. They used to finish mid-table or bottom half. And like, it was during his tenure that they started getting sexy. So I think he is seen as like one of the catalysts for the change. And I slagged him off as a footballer and said, oh, he only got 12, but he got 12 England caps. He was a good footballer, really.
In my memory, he was kind of a defensive, kind of like terrier type player, but I get the impression from the book that he played more on the wing. Yeah,
I have to say, yeah, Johnny, if you'd asked me to name, it would be central midfield, if you asked me what his position was. But certainly as a youth, he plays out wide. He plays in a much more attacking position. So I guess I'm learning about that.
And to be fair to Ratsky, he's a short man. Like you mentioned Sean Ray Phillips. I think it's Lamptey is the smallest ever to play in the Premier League. Lamptey is 5'4". Denis Wise. Okay, Denis Wise is 5'6". But to be fair to Denis Wise, Lamptey is a kind of an ornamental kind of player out on the wing, and Sean Ray Phillips, these kinds of guys. But Wise is right there in the middle with tough men like Patrick Vieira. I guess he probably had to lean on certain kind of traits in order to cut it in that world, like, to be fair, in his defence.
Well, that's it. And he was playing during the time of these dominant midfield generals as well, right? When that position was the number one, your Kenos, your Vieiras, your Steve McMahons. They were tough men in there, like big tough men. And he was a little rat boy. So, yeah, I mean, he would have to use his charms, his his wily tactics
His
to
teeth.
compete.
How tall do you think Roy Keane is?
Ooh, 5'10".
Woof! Bang. Right on the face.
Look at that. Smashed it. Yeah, I would dominate Roy Keane if I were to meet him. Yeah. I'd just loom over him, looking down at him like,
What are you
going to
11?
do? Yeah, 5'11 and a half. Fuck off. Yeah, so I've got an inch and a half on that fucker. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Denis Wise and this book of his.
Chapter 1, the worst moment of my life. This is a sad story. The tone of this book is very much that it is written for Chelsea fans, I think. There's no assumption that anyone else in the world will read this book other than Chelsea fans, because no fairness, other than us, who would?
On that point, do you think that you and I are the last people who will ever read this book? Because, like, why would anyone read this book at this point? Like, you said that he was there at the turn for Chelsea. Okay, he was there for one of the turns when they started getting, like, players like Zola and LaBeouf. But an even bigger turn came a lot later. Like, so who's your favourite Chelsea player? It was Denis Wise. Then it was Frank Lampard. You know, it's like there's a bit of a leap there, isn't there? Shevchenko, Didier Drogba, like absolute fucking superstars from Denis Wise. So I can't imagine a situation where anybody has gone back to read about.
Well, that's it. And if you like Denis Wise's energy, right? If you like that kind of guy, then they fucking like bring you a John Terry. It's like, here we go, look at this. It's Denis Wise, but he's a foot taller and a fuckload meaner. Like, it's an uber Denis Wise. Yeah, that's it. And you're like, my favourite player is Denis Wise. It's like, is it still you? But no, my favourite player is old JT, innit? Of course it is, bloody John Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
it's like, they got John Terry to replace Denis Wise. I wonder if they ever played together. Doubt it. Don't know. Research.
This book was enough Denis Wise research for any one person. Come on, Jesus. Okay,
Yeah,
his parents are from Notting Hill. Notting Hill is rough news to me.
No, I think there's been a good deal of regeneration in Notting Hill, because now it's about as trendy as can be, right? A lot of the time when I tell Americans, oh, where you from? And they're like, I'm Nottingham. I never say that. I say Nottingham. And they're like, yeah, oh, I've been to Nottingham. I stood in the doorway where Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts were standing. It's like, no. That's Notting Hill, a very posh part of London. I come from Nottingham. Oh, Robin Hood. Yep. Yeah. All the time he gets a mistake. I've seen the movie. You've not seen the movie. I promise you.
Wait, do you actually say Nottingham when you're talking to them?
Yeah, always gets a laugh, Johnny. Every fucking time. Nottingham. Oh, this guy. He gets it. We speak different. His accent is different.
Nottingham.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pretty... So, yeah, Nottingham. Yeah, I think back in those days, yeah, it was pretty rough. And I think there's parts of Notting Hill which are still pretty rough. I don't know. I'm speculating here, Johnny.
Yeah, parents ran a pub in London. He didn't like school, la la la. That is all pretty standard stuff that we can leap right over. To go back, you said, yeah, it starts with the bite, right? And this is, I guess, one thing I did know about Denis Wise is he bit a taxi driver's nose. And he starts with that because I guess if you're writing a book like this, you have to start with that. You have to front up, to use the language of football. He's got to front up. There's a thread running through this book where he's accused of something and he says, I shouldn't have done this. And then he explains why it was absolutely the right course of action. And totally hardly justified. He does that a few times in the book, you know.
So, yeah, it starts off with a taxi thing. And as I say, I think this is written for Chelsea fans, possibly Wimbledon fans, all six of them. He very much assumes your sympathy. So anyway, he gets a taxi fare and he's like, oh, take me down the East End, whatever, like. And the taxi driver doesn't want to take him that far. And he's like, all right, we'll fucking take us to a police station. They'll sort it out, won't they? He's like, I'm not going to take you to a police station. And then he's with a young lady, an unidentified young lady, who attempts to vacate the taxi cab because maybe she realizes she's in a taxi with Denis Wise. And then so she tries to get out, but apparently the taxi driver pulls off. She's fallen over. So Denis Wise has no option to white knight and come in and punch the glass through of a taxi, grab the taxi driver by his throat and then bite his fucking nose. He had no option, Johnny. He had no option. The lady was in danger.
That takes some punching.
You've got to be full of rage. This book is actually badly written, Johnny, and this is what I noticed, because he talks about it. Oh, I was in that police cell. It was the loneliest place on the earth. And he mentions that twice. So I think that's poor editing. Oh, it was so lonely. Loneliest place in the world. And also he talks about having a thigh strain. Oh, no, I'm in prison. My thigh injury's not going to get the treatment it needs. Oh, no. And he mentions that again. Like, I was in the loneliest place in the world with a bad thigh. And then one page later, it's the loneliest place in the world and I've still got a bad thigh. And these lawyers like, just plead guilty. You'll get away with it. He's like, oh, I'm not fucking pleading guilty. No fucking way. That taxi driver tried to run over that lady. I had no option but to punch through the fucking glass, grab the man by his throat and bite his fucking nose off. So he didn't want to plead guilty, and he got sent to prison.
Yeah.
The loneliest place in the world. But then it all all goes away on appeal, doesn't it? So nothing really happens.
Yeah, he was in the cell, but only for a couple of hours, for however long it took for them to file the appeal. They had to do it before the deadline of the day or whatever, and then that was it. And yeah, he had a Damascene conversion. Oh, he was gonna button up and fly right after that.
I will never punch through a taxi partition ever again and grab the driver by his throat and bite him on the nose. As God is my witness.
If I am to bite another man, it'll be within the confines of a football pitch.
Which is the acceptable arena for that, Johnny.
Exactly. Okay, so yeah, he's from London. He went to play football at Southampton. They offered him a contract, like he was there as a YTS kid. And then they offered him money. He was offered £150. And this was quite funny. And he said, no, I want £250. And he said, no, you can fuck off. And they sent him packing. And then he was down in the dumps and he was really trying to find a club to go to. And it seemed that somebody had patched up the situation at Southampton for him. And Laurie McMahon, who had grabbed him by the neck once because he had been accused of bullying another YTS player. But of course, that was a misunderstanding. But Laurie McMahon says, come on back down. So he comes back. And so there was a complication because back in the day, they still held his registration. But anyway, everything was going to be fine. So he said, come on, pack your bags, come on back down. So he packs all his gear up and he comes back down. He's ready to sign on for Southampton. And Laurie McMahon throws the registration at him and essentially tells him to fuck off, which was quite nice because it was quite devious, wasn't it? It's quite a devious thing to do. Pack your bags, son, and come back down to Southampton. I enjoyed that. That was quite nice. Well done, Laurie McMahon. Well, the football's good, guys, I think, right?
Laurie McMahon. He's one of them. My dad's got a story about. Met him in an airport once. You know, I used to work in a bar here, Johnny, and I got the push because of a awful manager who used to be my friend. And the bar recently got bought. And this manager and her husband both worked at the bar. And the new owner was like, I tell you what, before we reopen, we really have got to clean this place. Like, it's like 5 years of dust and stuff. Like, if we can, before we reopen, can we absolutely clean this place from head to bottom? And these two did clean the place from head to bottom, and then he sacked them. All right.
That is devious. That's right on the Laurie McMahon bag of tricks, isn't it?
I haven't got many nice words for any of those people, but well done, that man.
I don't know if there is a book about it, and I'm going to look for it, Al, because that crazy Jan Wimbledon story, that deserves a book. That's one of the most interesting things that's happened in football, really, in England, ever. Like, come on, maybe that's an exaggeration, but that is an interesting thing that happened in English football. Those guys winning the FA Cup. That is fun, isn't it?
No, it is, and that's the only actually interesting thing in the book. That's the only thing that's even vaguely remarkable. Because, I mean, it goes on to describe, like, oh, Chelsea won an FA Cup, and Chelsea, who gives a shit? Fucking Chelsea winning an
Yeah,
FA
well,
Cup.
this is the worst. Like we've said this before. We said before that descriptions of football matches are not interesting, and that's what this book is. It's a description of 100 games of football that are totally and utterly meaningless to me. Then we went and we played away at Arsenal. Don't care, Dennis. You know?
Yeah, there's honestly some really tedious, like, two-legged descriptions. Then we had Betis in the quarterfinals, and then it's like, honestly, like 20 pages about describing, like, I'm pulling Betis out my arse, but like, oh, mate, who cares? But yeah, the Wimbledon stuff actually was, the Wimbledon story was remarkable, and that was a place full of tough men, right? The Wimbledon lads. Like, John Fashanu was absolutely the leader. I like the idea of John Fashanu being a leader because he's such a weird bloke, isn't he? So weird, John Fashanu. What does he do now?
Would have graced our screens with gladiators, right? And he's got quite, I don't know, I would have said there's a kind of softness to John Fashanu almost, but that's not how he was as a footballer, I gather.
No, he's a fucking brute, like, terrifying, like, all elbows, all knees, yeah, really scary.
Wise says that he would walk around with his top off when the other team were coming in because he was such a huge man, and he'd kind of be bumping into them, and then he would give this like kind of primal scream in the tunnel as they were going out to kind of intimidate people. That's all really fun, I think.
Well, it is, and imagine, that's it. You've got, if it's just a big man like primal screaming in a tunnel, that's weird. But if all the lads are behind him, you start thinking, ooh, fucking hell, what are we doing here? Like, I mean, it's like an unorganized hacker, right? Just like a big, scary John Fashanu howling at you and everyone behind him going, we're on his side. Yeah, it is effective.
Yeah, and then Vinnie Jones, of course. So they had Harry and Dave Bassett. He was linked with the Ireland job at one point. But then Bobby Gould came in. Denis Wise broke Bobby Gould's rib.
Have you never punched your boss as hard as you can, Johnny?
To be fair, Bobby Gould told him to punch him.
He was clearing the air, wasn't he? Clearing the air. Fucking class act, old Bobby Gould. Like, he didn't like fucking a bad fucking smell to hang around, so he said, go on, let's fucking punch me. And I fucking did, and I broke his fucking ribs. Yeah, just...
Didn't Bobby Gould and the wrestling come up in a previous book?
Oh, absolutely it did.
Anyway, apparently Bobby Gould is into getting his players to fight him and to fight each other, but he broke his ribs. There you go. And is Denis Wise the only man on the same day to have offended John Aldridge and Princess Diana, do you think?
How did he insult Princess Diana? I saw he got in John Aldridge's face after he missed the penalty, and God bless you for that. I mean, that's when I really warmed to the lad. Because John Aldridge deserves it. You should see my notes here. It's got the C word in it a lot.
Because he did that to your man's hair, the Forest player.
Yeah, he did it after as well. This was
after apologising.
After Denis Wise had done it to him, he thought, this is a good idea. I'll do it to Brian Laws. Ruffled his hair after giving it. Well, no, so when John Aldridge missed the penalty in the FA Cup final, Denis Wise got in his face. And the subsequent year after Brian Laws gave away a penalty against Liverpool, is that right? They scored an own goal, one of them. John Aldridge got in his face and ruffled his hair like an
But do you remember
arsehole.
Do you remember in Pierce's book, Pierce said that Aldridge then subsequently apologised to Brian Laws and then turned around and did it again. But anyway, sorry, the Princess Diana one was funny because, and this is fun, like this is a nice scene. So Vinnie Jones is like Stuart Pearce had played for Wealdstone,
yeah.
And he'd been, he'd signed for Wimbledon. And these guys, these are, working class dudes. They're suddenly in the FA Cup final and they're just so excited. So Wise and Jones are up early in the morning. They just don't know what to do with themselves. So they go driving around and they go off to the shops to buy flowers for Princess Diana, which is very funny, like. And whatever, they find out that they can't give the flowers to Princess Diana. But then when they do win the FA Cup and they beat Liverpool, I think he curses when he's lifting the trophy, and Diana's ears are obviously bleeding at this kind of industrial language. So yeah,
the idea of the people's princess having to hear about filth, Johnny, it upsets me now. Just years before her demise. Oh, it's awful. Hey, and there's a bit of Hollywood glamour as well in that morning because they rush off to buy flowers to Princess Di, and who should they stumble upon? June fucking Whitfield, Johnny. Woo, June Whitfield. I see you looking. You don't know who June Whitfield is?
No.
Terry and June Whitfield. June Whitfield was, remember Absolutely Fabulous?
Yes.
The mum character, the nice old lady mum character. That's June Whitfield. Doesn't matter, Johnny. She was a sitcom staple in the 80s.
Okay.
She was in a show called Terry and June, which I absolutely used to love as a kid. Like, I used to switch over from the A-Team to watch Terry and June. It used to be remarked upon in my house. Like, still a J-Team, Alistair. I like Terry and June.
Without knowing anything about Terry and June, I can still see why that might be funny. By the way, Al, and this is an honest question. In your life, honestly, have you ever grabbed anyone by the balls?
In my life, probably yes.
Because Vinnie Jones does this a lot.
Well, there is actually the explanation for the famous Gaza ball grabbing picture. One of the greatest pieces of photography in football history, I'd say.
Yeah.
And it's because he nutmegged him. Of course it is. And then apparently he looked through Vinnie Jones's legs to question why he couldn't stop it. Oh, Gaza.
But, as you say, he famously grabs Gaza by the balls. Before the FA Cup final, Wise and Vinnie Jones are interviewed on the bus, and they're grabbing each other by the balls, I guess, so that they will, squeak or something when they're being interviewed on the television. And then when they're celebrating the win, he grabs Bobby Gould by the balls. He's a real ball grabber, that Vinnie Jones.
I think that's something men used to do. I just think it's a thing. Like five-a-side football. I'm sure someone grabbed me by the balls at five-a-side football. Or maybe I was sexually assaulted. I don't know, Johnny. It's one of the two. Like, I remember getting my balls grabbed playing football. And
go on. I'll tell you my story afterwards.
No, I don't. No, go on. Tell us your story, Johnny.
So I played for a team in Cambodia, as you know. Kind of like 9-a-side football, so they're big fields, but it wasn't the full thing.
Literally my darkest memories, Johnny. Like my darkest moments on earth. The thing I'm most ashamed of. Anyway, carry on.
Well, we can come back to that. But, occasionally, it's not that there'd be a crowd, but, just say there's 15, 16, 17 people in our squad, and then the same for the other squad, and occasionally their friends or girlfriends might come down. I remember we were playing a game. It was in the middle of the city, so there was, let's say there was 50 people along the sideline. And there was a free kick. And I was the defender. And I was marking this one fella. As the ball came in, he full on grabbed me by the balls. And I guess the reaction of a lot of people would be to fight or to hit or to push or whatever. But I exclaimed, in shock, this guy's just grabbed me by the balls, and all 50 people along the sideline just started laughing, because my response was so ridiculous. And then I just felt embarrassed, because everybody was just laughing at me. But yeah, it's a funny thing to do to someone because it's sore, but that's not the main cause of concern. It's just degrading, I suppose, ultimately.
Yeah. There's no nice way of being grabbed by the balls, even by your lady wife. I don't know if you ever initiates romance with a ball grab. Like, get hold of those fucking plums. Well, you're in the mood for romance, darling. Okie dokie. Let's tend to a kiss as you grip my balls.
Yeah. Anyway, the FA Cup. So what happened was Wimbledon beat Liverpool in the final of the FA Cup. They won 1-0. And this was, of course, a total upset. The biggest upset in the history of the FA Cup still to this day.
I mean, probably Wigan in 2012, 13, but, there wasn't as much emphasis on the FA Cup by then. Let's say Wimbledon, though. I think Wimbledon is, right? Because they were literally a non-league team 10 years before. It is the best story in the FA Cup.
And also the nature, they're not just any team. They're this real ragtag bunch of kind of unlikely fellows.
Yeah, even as an 11-year-old, when I watched that FA Cup final, I got my dad's printer paper and made a big Wimbledon banner and took it into school because every fucking kid at my school was a Liverpool supporter, it being the 80s. They all were Liverpool supporters. So I had this big Wimbledon banner. Woo! Fuck it. Yeah.
And now that
Yeah, no, it was a great. I mean, I really do remember that game, Johnny. I really, really do. I think more than probably any game in the whole of the 1980s, I remember that game. He wins the FA Cup. They're all happy. He wishes he'd stayed out on the pitch longer. Talked about that quite a lot.
Yes.
More editing, please. But then he can't wait to get the fuck out of Wimbledon as soon as he can, right? I mean, he's off straight to Sam Mann, the owner, like, let me go, just let me go. Go Bobby Gold. Oh, let me go to a bigger team. So it's hardly the romance. He wins every cup and then just desperately tries to get the fuck out. But it takes a couple of years, right?
Yeah, he wanted to leave. They wouldn't let him go because I guess they wanted money for him. And he refused to go on tour to Sweden. And eventually, actually, he refused to go on tour to Sweden. He did eventually join that tour to Sweden, and then he let off fireworks in the hotel room or something like that because he was trying to make a point somehow. Yeah, exactly that, Al, because it's this beautiful romance, more like a one-night stand maybe from Denis Wise's point of view.
Yeah, he cannot wait to get the fuck out, and he makes no excuses for that.
So he loses his license for drink driving. It's easy to be very hard on people for this kind of stuff. What's funny is when he says, this is no excuse, but there wasn't the same stigma attached to it then as there is now. It's like, well, that is an excuse. That you are giving an excuse in there, Dennis. But anyway, he goes to Chelsea eventually. And Bobby Campbell, I never heard of him. Had you heard of Bobby Campbell?
I'd heard of him, but yeah, no more.
Bobby Campbell was his manager, and he was the anti-Fergie. And why was he the anti-Fergie?
Tell me.
Remember when we read Michael Owen's book? I hope you do, because it was 2 weeks ago. He said that Fergie would always shout at the kind of strongest players. That was Fergie's style. But this Bobby Campbell, he would only shout at weak players. And he
Coward.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why he said they had this player called Alan Dickens. And Bobby Campbell absolutely savaged Alan Dickens, and his confidence never recovered.
You expect someone called Bobby Campbell to be nicer?
Yeah,
It's Bobby Campbell. Hello, Bobby. Hello, Bobby. How you doing? Fuck off, you weakling. Oh, all right, Bobby. No, leave me alone.
Wise complains about a lack of discipline under the next manager, Ian Porterfield. He says that in one sentence, and then in the next paragraph, he's talking about himself and Cascarino and Townsend, notably Irish players, taking a stretched limousine when they arrived on tour in Canada, and just leaving Porterfield and the rest of the team to pick up their bags and get on the team bus. It's like, it was terrible. There was no discipline. You should have seen the time. I remember this friend of mine, Killian. We went to Derry, and we went to an Oasis gig in 1999, and they were supported by Ocean Colour Scene. We went all the way up to Derry, and we got in big trouble in the hostel, I suppose, because someone had damaged the lamp, and my friend Killian was outraged. He was saying they accused me of breaking this lamp, and then, like, without breath, he was like, anyway, I had this lamp in my hand. So he went from outrage to actually describing how he broke the lamp, and didn't seem to see any hypocrisy in this.
That's nice. How much were the Oasis tickets in 1999? Do you remember?
Yeah, not very much. They were £500 anyway.
I think I saw them in 1999 as well at Reading. I'm pretty sure they were very tight.
I saw them in 1996 when I was 12, and I think I saw them again in 1998. When I saw them in 1998, there was no Liam, it was just Noel. That was weird.
Yeah, that's pretty lame, isn't it? It's the Beatles. John Lennon will not be appearing tonight. Yeah. Good old Oasis. I mean, I've seen them once. I tell you what, how much are people paying for tickets? What the fuck is wrong with you? You missed out. Now you're watching a bunch of old men up on stage. Not that it makes any difference. They just stood there and played. I mean, they did nothing.
I think maybe I saw Oasis again now that I think of it a few years later, and Liam couldn't sing. That was 20 years ago.
Honestly, it boggles my mind people paying hundreds and hundreds of pounds for tickets to go and see Oasis. I just don't understand.
No, I don't either.
I don't want to go and see an old band. I just don't want, like, rock music. It's a young man's game, Johnny. If I watch it paying like £800 to watch for fucking, like, the 1999 Manchester United team, like, there you go. Yeah, it's Masters football. It's Masters football. It's shit. And look, who are Oasis playing? They're playing Cast. Oh, fucking hell. They were shit then. I mean, how shit they are now. Cast.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
I saw Cast. He was in the Last, wasn't he? The fella from Cast.
I mean, the Lars, one song, one fucking song, one. I mean, it's a good song.
But
they always got me fucking going, like, all those shitty, like, Britpop bands. Ladies and gentlemen, Shed 7, get them off my fucking screen. Fucking riding on a fucking bandwagon, get them off. I don't want to see them. Who's the best band, Oasis or Blur? Pulp. It was you, Jarvis. It was you all along. Like, they were the best band.
Well, Radiohead in the long run.
They were never really Britpop band, you know what I mean?
Well, they're definitely not Britpop. Has anyone described them as Britpop? So which song is better, Country House or
Karma Police?
But sorry, that is a funny idea. Because essentially what's happened in music is the fellas who were good at it in the 90s have just kind of locked it in somehow. And they can just charge more and more. But imagine that's how football worked. Nobody was going to see the new football. And everybody was just going to see the 99 Manchester United team, as you said.
Yeah, the new Man United team just can't get a look in. Man United versus Bayern Munich again. Sammy Kufor is just, he can't even get up off the floor now. Like, lying there, just banging. He's playing the hits, just sitting on the floor, banging the ground, like, way.
This is the kind of thing I expected from Denis Wise's book. Scenes straight out of Full Metal Jacket. 12 players with pillowcases piling into one player's room at night time to shave off one of the player's mustache with like a wet razor. Can you imagine?
Yeah, he said the player, who was the player, looking at him in fear. And it's like, I'm not so sure he was worried about losing his moustache. He thought I was going to cut him with the razor. Yeah, I bet he did, you drunk fucking Denis Wise coming at you with a cutthroat razor. I mean, it was a cutthroat razor or just a disposable.
Kneeling on his chest, waking up to that, it's like,
fucking Sweeney Todd. Awful for him.
So Tony Cascarino had false teeth. Funnily enough, it didn't come up all that much in Tony Cascarino's book, his false teeth, but I did remember that he had false teeth. What kind of a joke is this? I stole Tony Cascarino's false teeth and he was going crazy because he couldn't find them. Okay, reasonably funny. Then he was really angry because I coloured them in black. I guess he would be angry.
Well, if you will take your false teeth out, Tony, what do you expect Denis Wise to do? You know what I mean? It's like the frog of a scorpion. Like, you're taking your false teeth out, put them in your little box, and you're looking at Denis Wise going, you're not going to do anything with these? No. I'm going to put them in here. You're not going to do anything? No. Turn your back. There you go. Fucking teeth. Whee!
There's some surprising insight in the book on Glenn Hoddle, I thought.
Well, this is one of those, isn't it? It's like, Hoddle was too distant. He didn't really get involved with the players. Oh, this manager got involved with the players. He's too fucking familiar. Like, it's a fine line. You can't be too distant. You can't be too familiar. And I tell you who wrote that line. Terry Venables. Oh, Terry, I've got so much respect for that man. I've got to say, he just told me straight to my face, you're not good enough for me, Dennis. You're not going to Euro 96. And I told him, I thank you, mate. God, he loves Terry Venables. What is it about London players and Terry Venables? They fucking were. I mean, I guess he was I don't know. Terry Venables. I've got a lot of affection for him. I really do. I can see why people love him.
Is it because he has kind of a chubby face, do you think?
Yes, it's his chubby face. Lovely chubby face. He's a crooner. He's just the archetypal, like, 80s, 90s London man. Like, I don't know. He loves Frank Sinatra, all that. Just, yeah, I don't know. He is a likable character. Scribes. Terry Venables Scribes nightclub. Just, yeah, it's golden.
That is nice. I think sometimes Wise can surprise. There's a couple of surprising turns where he's reasonably magnanimous about certain things. He just figures, like, Hoddle made him captain, but he always felt that Hoddle just didn't rate him. And Wise seems okay with that kind of thing sometimes. He, like, as you said, when Terry Venables told him that he wasn't bringing him to 1996, he respected that. And Wise does seem to respect when people, like, he seems to respect that people can have that view of him. And I guess he probably appreciated how Venables handled it more than, say, Hoddle. And I feel like I know, it'd be interesting to spend time with Hoddle because I just feel like I know him at this point. He's just kind of an aloof kind of weirdo, isn't he? So Wise says that Hoddle just tried to remain coy. He didn't want people to kind of know what he was thinking, so he would stay aloof all the time, as like he was protecting his plans. So Wise was made his captain, and I think maybe Hoddle thought that that would be good in a kind of the political sense amongst the players, because Wise was kind of part of the main core of players. But Wise guess it says the Hoddle never really liked him, never really rated him, and definitely didn't trust him. And ultimately, Hoddle just kept him at arm's length. And Wise knew when Hoddle went to England that he'd never play for him, because Wise occasionally publicly disagreed with Hoddle on tactics, on team selection. And it seems that Hoddle wasn't able for that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Hoddle can't take any pushback whatsoever. By all accounts, Hoddle is a weirdo, right? By every single account you ever read. You never be like,
I'll stop you. Michael on.
Well, that's the nice contrast, isn't it? Like with Michael Owen, and as you're talking about Denis Wise saying how he accepted his limitations, it does at least speak well for him in as much that he is self-aware. He knows how good he is at football. He knows he's not as good as Roy Keane or Vieira. He's just a trier. And I think that says nice things about Denis Wise. He is aware of who he is, and he accepts that from others as well. He's not. Yeah, I came out of this liking him a bit more, but
I think Wise has that kind of cunning intelligence, that again, like Suarez probably has. I'd say he's quite cunning. I think he's quite
like a rat.
Exactly like a rat. Whoever came up with that nickname, that Bobby Gould, he knows what he's talking about. He knows rats. So what we know about Hoddle as well is he was always disappointed in players and their limitations, right? And that's what he had over everyone else. He was better in his eyes. So what's the worst thing that could happen to Hoddle really is to have someone, in this case, Ruud Gullit, publicly disagree with him or disagree with him in front of all the other players on a question of tactics. That must have fucking destroyed Hoddle,
And that's it, because Hoddle was a better player. Gullit was a better player than Hoddle. Like
Precisely.
Gullit was in the late 80s the best player in the world. Yeah, Hoddle wouldn't be able to take that at all.
Precisely that, because that was the thing that Hoddle had over everyone in England, that he was better than them. But he wasn't better than Ruud Gullit, was he?
No, he wasn't. And just for a quick aside, I remember when Chelsea signed Ruud Gullit, and that I legit gasped at the time. I was like, look at this. This is literally one of the best players in the world coming to the Premier League. And I think that was the first time that ever happened, that a player of his stature came. I think that's right. I can't remember a bigger signing than Gullit before him, a bigger international signing.
Like he came around the same time as Bergkamp, but he was much bigger than Bergkamp.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Bergkamp was like coming off failure, wasn't he? Like, whereas Gullit was.
And Cantona was kind of chased out of France.
Yeah, Cantona didn't have anything like the international recognition that Gullit did. I mean, Gullit won the fucking European Cup, won the Euros. I mean, just absolute colossus of the game. So that must have been huge for the Chelsea lads to see. And he likes him as well. He's got a nickname for him, Big Nose or Yeti. Well done.
Hoddle brought them along, he said. And this is, again, he is magnanimous in parts, Wise. He doesn't really like Hoddle, but he accepts that Hoddle really changed Chelsea. And he demanded higher standards right across the club in terms of training, but also facilities and like the kind of whatever corporate entertainment or whatever the fuck they do for like all of that was improved under Hoddle. So I actually thought he did a good turn for Hoddle here in this book.
Yeah, it's not absolutely condemnatory. It's just he states, as does everybody else, that Hoddle was quite weird. And he is. Yeah. And so then Gullit becomes manager and things really start moving at Chelsea, right?
But then Gullit is kind of weird in his own way, isn't he?
Gullit was a bad manager. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, just a bad manager. I remember watching him, I think I've talked about this before. I went to see Leicester versus Newcastle in the 90s, and he played with Shearer and Ferguson up front and didn't go with any wingers, which seemed a strange decision when you've got Big Dunk and Alan Shearer up front. Yeah, he had his own mind. He struggled with a Chelsea job, didn't he? Like, and at this point, Zola had come in and Gianluca Vialli. He didn't like Vialli.
Yeah. Sorry, just to go back to Hoddle, because I skipped over this. We all know that Hoddle played himself in that FA Cup final. And I think Cascarino, was he on the bench for it and knew that he wasn't going to play? But it came up in one of the books. Maybe it was Cascarino. We know that Hoddle brought himself on as a sub, but I didn't know that he explained to the players or to Denis Wise that he did it because he had dreamed that he would come off the bench in a cup final against Manchester United and score.
Yeah, I don't know how happy you'd be if you were one of the players. One of the players who didn't get on the park because your manager had a dream. Yeah, I mean, I've got dreams, Johnny, where I win the World Cup final, but I wouldn't put myself on the fucking bench.
I don't think that you and Glenn Hoddle, I don't think you occupy the same space in the mystic sphere that Glenn Hoddle kind of occupies, though, Al. You don't have that same level of mysticism about you.
Yeah, you didn't see me play in my 20s, Johnny. That was touch.
Huddle's Yali loves Yali. He loves Zola. But none of it is that interesting, Al, is it?
No, not at all. Not not at all. No, like Vialli should have played more. Zola was really good at football, really good at free kicks. Who'd have guessed? I mean, I'm just scrabbling around for funny anecdotes. He used to make Zola say funny words, like, because that's what you do to foreigners, right? That's what I would do. Like, instead of saying yes, he'd be like Harry Crutch. We had a German kid at school who came into school, and we just made him say "fuck off, cunt" all the time. Like, just go tell Mr. Wade to fuck off, cunt. He'd be like, okay, fuck off, cunt. Like, Bond, see me in the office. That's what you do to foreigners, right? Just tell them to say the worst words.
Another thing that Wise does in this book is because he's gotten in so many scrapes and how he has this reputation, which he's obviously so aware of, he's very congratulatory to himself when he's done. So when he reacts well to Terry Venables' news that he's not going to the World Cup or to the Euros in 1996, he really pats himself on the back for how everybody expected him to go fucking crazy, and he didn't. Well done, Dennis. Pat on the back there. And similarly, when he won the FA Cup with Chelsea, or was both the FA Cup and the Coca-Cola Cup, he took a random kid out of the crowd and brought him around the pitch, which is a nice thing to do. Don't put it in your book, Dennis, because
his dad came up to me at the end. He was like, "Oh, fucking, what a wonderful thing you did, son! What a wonderful thing." He was crying. It's a nice thing to do, though. I mean, I guess if I was a footballer, I'd be dragging people out of the crowd left, right, and centre. Come on, love me,
forgive me.
So at Chelsea, they win the Winners' Cup, we win the FA Cup, they win the Carling Cup or whatever it's called. Then none of it's interesting.
But that is a good career. He had a good football career.
Yeah, he had a good career. But let's talk about what we've lost with woke. Oh, the shames. Fucking modern world. You know, like Paul Gascoigne used to book sunbeds for John Barnes. Can't do that now. Oh, woke. Fucking rubbish. You know, after the FA Cup final, Denis Wise was having a little bit of a laugh with Roberto Di Matteo's blind sister. telling him, oh, no, don't listen to Roberto. I dribbled past 6 men and he had a tap in. And before you complain, Roberto Di Matteo's sister was laughing as hard as anyone else. Like, this is what we've lost with woke, Johnny. You can't, like, confuse blind people anymore. You can't book sunbeds for black players. It's just such a shame. I don't want to be too hang-ringy about this stuff, but yeah, not great. Also, here he defends Graham Rix, which you wouldn't do in 2025, would you? Graham Rix, the Chelsea coach who took home a 15-year-old girl from a nightclub. Oh, if only you knew the context. Like, he was fooled. I mean, Graham Rix at this time must have been 40 plus.
Yeah.
Even if you're bringing home an 18-year-old son, come on.
What possible context? Incredible.
I've got another question for you, Johnny. Now, were you there? They talk about the Kazaragi. Now, Kazaragi came over as a big name player with a big reputation, and almost immediately into his Chelsea career, he did his knee, and that was it. He was done. Now, do you remember being in a bar in Phnom Penh? It was Equinox, and speaking to a nurse, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a nurse. I was actually at the FA Cup final when Kazaragi got injured. I was the first person on the scene there. Do you remember this?"
No.
I might have been with someone else. And I was like, but he never played again. He's like, yeah, I didn't do a good job. But like...
Wow, I don't remember that. That's amazing. I think I would have remembered that.
No, okay, it might have been Rutledge. But like, yeah, there's just like, oh, you were the first nurse. He never played again. It's like, yeah, no. But I was there.
She's since had to move to Cambodia. She's living under an assumed name.
All right. I don't know. There's not much else, is there? I mean, have you got more, Johnny?
No. This was tedious enough book. But I didn't hate Wise. Like, it wasn't the worst book that we've read, but yeah, there's no reason for anyone to read it. So in this particular case, I feel like we've done a public service to 5 people in the world who are thinking at some point of reading the Denis Wise book.
Yeah, Chelsea fans, go read John Terry's book instead. You'll enjoy it more. Yeah, he was there. When he came, Chelsea was shit. And by the time he left, Chelsea were growing into the fucking disgusting, hideous force that they are now. So, I mean, he played his part in that. He helped make Chelsea the disgusting abomination that they are now. So, well done, Dennis.
And of course, what we don't get here, and this is the context in which he's come up in a few books, is the Newcastle stuff, the Mike Ashley stuff.
Yeah, there was none of that because he goes on to like manage Leeds after saying he'll never be a manager. And he was doing well at Leeds. Yeah. Yeah, as I say, there really isn't much. He once had a £460 gambling debt. That's put into perspective by Owen. There's a funny bit about Matthew Harding, the guy, the Chelsea assistant chairman who died in a helicopter crash, and they were like, "Oh, should we play? Should we play today? It doesn't seem right. And then they do play, and they beat Spurs. It was the right decision to play. I can assure you, if they didn't get that result against Spurs, it wouldn't have been the right decision. But
Did you notice that he says, Matthew Harding, it was a terrible, terrible tragedy. You know, at the time, there was some discussion that maybe Harding would take over from Bates. He was trying to become chairman. And then, in the context of the helicopter crash, Wise just writes the next 2 pages about how great Ken Bates was.
Yeah, it really was. It's like, oh, Matthew Harding was a good guy, but like, really, Ken Bates is Chelsea. Ken Bates is Chelsea. It's all Ken Bates. Thank God he died in a helicopter crash, so he couldn't take over and ruin Ken Bates' great fucking work. Yeah, it really does. It's like, poor Matthew Harding died. But again, I just want to reiterate, and it does time and time again. It's not only one time how he did feel that Ken Bates was a better man for the Chelsea job than Matthew Harding. I think he comes up like 3 times. Yeah. Again, editing.
So I give this two enforced shavings.
Yeah, I'll give it 2 ball squeezes.
That's fine. Yeah, let's take that. Okay, 2 ball squeezes. I give this 2.
Yeah, 2 ball squeezes out of 5. It does tell a story. It's not a very interesting story, but I mean, I read it happily enough.
If you were in an airport and someone had left their copy of Denis Wise on the plane somehow,
and there was no other books at all,
and there was no other books, and you didn't have a Kindle, Denis Wise is sitting on your chest with a razor in his hand, you would read this book?
Yeah, you would. So for our next episode, we will be doing players who never reach their peak through injury. It's the Injury Time Injury Special.
Nice. Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Al.
Please take the time to give us a lovely 5-star review on your podcatcher of choice. And if you would write a review, that really helps us find listeners. Like and subscribe, folks. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Oh, and there it is. The crazy gang have beaten the Culture Club. Wimbledon have destroyed Liverpool's dreams of the double, and all over the pitch, their players are celebrating something which a few years ago would have been impossible. Sporting gesture by the Liverpool supporters. Her Royal Highness applauds one of the great cup shocks of all time.